Pat McAfee Show. Colin Cowherd put out a list of the top quarterback and wide receiver duos in the NFL today. People were not happy about it. This is a triple reactception, if you will. You have me reacting to Pat McAfee, reacting to Colin Cowherd's list. Maybe the first time ever done. So let's get right into, I have not seen the list. So let's get right into this triple threat react match. Loser leaves town.
Colin Cowherd put his top 10 wide receiver quarterback combos in the NFL out last night. We put it in the group text, obviously, and boy, oh boy.
You know what's kind of interesting about just me thinking who are the top wide receiver quarterback duos? It is interesting because the top quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, doesn't really have a top wide receiver. The top wide receiver, Justin Jefferson, really doesn't have that great of or a top quarterback. Kirk Cousins is okay. Relax, Minnesota. But he's not a top quarterback. So I would assume if we're thinking the top duo, you can look at this a bunch of different ways. You can look at this like which duo is the most productive. You could look at it as who are the two best, like which team has the best tag team, if you will. If that's the case, it's Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I would say is the two best players on one team. As far as production, you could argue that the best productive duo is Tua and Tyreek Hill. You could argue when Tua's on the field, him and Tyreek Hill are putting up some mega numbers. Joe Burrow can spread it out a little more. Jamar Chase is obviously the man, but I think Tua and Tyreek would be up there. That's probably the top. I mean, you could even say Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown. Is that that could certainly be a top duo. So this is an interesting list for sure.
There was one guy in there that was not happy with Colin Cowherd. He also happened to wear the number 20 whenever he was pick six and everybody and doing his thing. And we are 20 days away. So to celebrate the countdown and being pissed off, ladies and gentlemen, your favorite golfer, Darius Butler.
What's good, fella? Hey, I'm never pissed off, man. Life is good. It's Feel Good Friday. I'm in a great mood. Great list by Colin there. He dropped last night.
Okay, let's put it up there.
I think I was going to talk a little more of what I thought the list was going to be, but here it is. Okay, so this is Colin's list. So Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley. That's a good one. Mahomes and Kelsey. Okay, I mean Kelsey's not a wide receiver. So, interesting. Rodgers and Wilson, I don't like that because they haven't played together. Same with Carr and Olave. They haven't played together. So, I feel like if you're going to do, I guess it depends on what Colin was saying. If it's just strictly talent, Carr and Olave and Rodgers and Wilson should be on there. Allen and Diggs, I would have them a little lower because last year wasn't great, and now Stephon Diggs is talking about holding out. Cousins, Jefferson, okay, Dak and CeeDee Lamb I would have off the list. Tua and Tyreek Hill should be higher than Dak and CeeDee Lamb. I mean, is there anybody, right now, go in the comments below. I hate to call for a comments request this early in a video, but is there anyone watching this video that would rather have Dak and CeeDee Lamb than Tua and Tyreek Hill? Is there anyone? There can't be. Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown, that's a good one. I'll tell you who else I'd have on here. Russell Wilson and Jerry Jeudy. Controversial yet brave opinion. I'd have them on there. What about Geno and DK Metcalf? Could possibly be worth a list or worth a thought. You can definitely. What about Justin Herbert? And I guess Herbert's interesting because he spreads it around. He doesn't have a number one. I'm always going to this guy. Herbert, he's not afraid to sling it. So I guess he wouldn't make the list. If we're looking at just throughout the divisions, no one on the Browns, no one on the Packers, no one on the Ravens. Even though I think Lamar is amazing, I don't think any of their wide receivers are there. I mean, the list isn't awful. Mahomes and Kelsey, if we're just on wide receivers, obviously should not be on the list. But which is kind of insane to think Patrick Mahomes would not be on this list.
and just start dive into it. Now, this is classic sports media. You know, this feels like we are fans of Colin Cowherd, even though there are people that absolutely despise Colin Cowherd. There's also people that love Colin Cowherd, and he's been doing this a long.
He broke the A-Rod news too. So
I think Colin, this is a total sidebar. I am one of the fans of Colin Cowherd. I think he is one of the best to ever do it. Really, 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 really good. For sure. I am a huge fan of Colin. I've bought his books. I've listened to his show. A huge fan, no doubt about it. He knows what he's doing.
That was big.
Shout out to
Real quick, if I'm just using this 10, I would have it Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. Let's take Mahomes out because Kelsey's not a wide receiver. So let's take Mahomes out and let's put in Russell Wilson and Jerry Jeudy. I would have it Burrow, Chase. I'd have Burrow, Chase, Tua, Tyreek, Lawrence Ridley, Goff, Amon-Ra, Allen, Diggs, Rodgers, Wilson. Now I forgot which ones I've used. Cousins, Jefferson. Have I used all of them? Am I down to my last one? Oh, Dak, CeeDee Lamb, and then Russell, Jeudy. That's how I'd have the 10. If I used all 10 right there, I didn't crisscross any or any of that stuff, I'm incredibly impressed. Watching back and editing this video is not going to be kind to me, I have a feeling. But that's how I would do those 10, and I'd get Mahomes off the list. Kelsey's not a wide receiver.
The Hard Knocks and the NFL Films people, and the people that are attacking me for saying what the fuck about that situation, who have no idea about anything. But nonetheless, we are fans of Colin Cowherd, has been doing it for a long time, doing it good for a long time. But this list is like straight out of the sports media, stir the pot, piss off the marks playbook, pretty much. So as we go through this, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, number 1. Okay, hey, you could definitely easily say that.
I'm interested to see where the anger is coming from. Where do y'all think the anger is going to come from? Is it Mahomes, Kelsey? I'm not sure where else would be like, this is going to drive people crazy. Maybe having Trevor Lawrence, Calvin Ridley that high, but I think you can make an argument for that if you look at this list. I think you can easily make an argument for that.
Trevor Lawrence, Calvin Ridley haven't even played football together yet in the NFL, but Colin Cowherd's like, this isn't about now. This is end of the year, what people are going to be saying. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, now that's won multiple Super Bowls and multiple championships. They are going to break every record together that there has been and will be. Aaron and Garrett haven't played yet. Derek Carr and Chris Olave at number 5. This is when people really started going, Colin, what are we doing? Darius, when you look at this list, Josh Allen, not in the top 5. Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown that broke a bunch of Philadelphia.
Okay, that one, I forgot I mentioned that one earlier. Hurts and Brown would be on there before Russell and Jeudy. So the 10 I just gave, replace Russell and Jeudy with Hurts and Brown. And if they were in the 10, then Dak and CeeDee Lamb would be at the bottom. So I think Brown and Hurts should definitely be on the list.
Your records last year, not even in the top 10. What are your thoughts, and how excited are you for the NFL season, knowing that these duos are going to be out there killing defensive backs all season long, D-Butt?
First of all, we can start there. Everybody on this list is I expect to be dominant. I expect to be great next year. And I see, okay, it's Colin forecasting, right? But, I mean, any list, quarterback, wide receiver, quarterback, tight end, whatever, if Travis Kelce's on the list, with Patrick Mahomes, they got to be one. They got to be one. I think you can look around the league, and even the guys in the league.
If we're saying Kelce is a wide receiver, if we're just saying, you know what, forget the tight end situation, let's just have him as a wide receiver, then those two would be one. If we're doing that, for sure. But you gotta kind of let that huge detail slide.
We'll say that as well. But you got him. You got Jefferson. What he's been doing with Justin Jefferson, what he's been doing with Kirk Cousins has been crazy this first 3 years. You got Tyreek Hill. He was on track for 2K if Tua can stay healthy. I think all those guys should be up there in the top 3, 4. Chase, Burrow right there as well. And all these guys who haven't even, competed or had that connection in real game speed yet. Put him on the list, just not up top. Got a little fired up yesterday. Just a little bit fired up. Me and my guy Foxy, you saw the list.
Oh, yeah.
Thought it's bullshit. Once again, big fan of Colin. But, yeah, like you said, this is classic media. But, fantastic talent on this list. But I think Kelsey, Mahomes, obviously at the top. I'm kind of a homer, so – but I know Tua's not, he's not on the field every week, so I won't put Tua.
Whoa.
I'm not really sure where the disgruntlement is coming from. I mean, he's making it sound like the list is absolutely insane, but then he says like, oh, Kelsey and Mahomes should be the top of the list. They're at 3. Is Colin? Did he drop them to 3 because Kelsey's not a wide receiver? He's talking about like Tua and Tyreek. Well, if Colin is projecting the end of the season, maybe Colin is factoring in that they won't have a full season of their duo because Tua may get injured. I can certainly see some of these placements. The one thing that I think is egregious is Hurts and Brown not being on the list. I definitely think that's crazy. But I don't think it's crazy to think that the tandem of Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley could be a better duo than Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson. That's not saying anything against Justin Jefferson, but how good do you think Kirk Cousins is? And if you think Trevor Lawrence is going to take a massive jump and you think Calvin Ridley is going to be really good, then I would have no problem listening to them being the better duo. It's the same thing as how I'm saying that if you take Patrick Mahomes and whoever their wide receivers are now, if you take Mahomes at one of the Chiefs wide receivers, they're not on my top 10 list. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL, but that's not what we're doing. You can't hyper isolate the two entities to then come up with the duo list. You can't hyper isolate Justin Jefferson and be like, he is the best wide receiver, thus he's got to drag Kirk Cousins up the list. That's not how it works.
Oh, he's doing jujitsu.
Yikes.
Josh Allen, Diggs even. I mean, since Diggs has come over with Josh Allen, what they've been able to do together, they should be higher. But, I can't wait. I can't wait for this football season to start. I'm not as anxious as you guys because I can't watch a minute of preseason football, so I don't know how you guys do it. Live, I haven't watched once the live snap of preseason ball.
I watched 60 minutes last night, preseason football.
Tough. That's tough.
Let's do a quick exercise here. Let's do a quick exercise with your boy. All right, this is Stephon Diggs last year. He's got 1,400 yards, 11 touchdowns. A.J. Brown last year had 1,500 yards, 11 touchdowns. Jalen Hurts last year had 3,700 yards, 22 touchdowns. There's a rushing on here. I don't want to have to. Then he had 760 yards, 13 touchdowns. Josh Allen had 4,200 yards, 35 touchdowns. Running wise, 700 yards, 7 touchdowns. So, this kind of goes to show where what my man Darius is upset about, he should be upset about this. The AJ Jalen snub. That's what he should be upset about. We've said this before, but I think generally football fans and the media, they have this weird inherent, like, Allen and Diggs or the Buffalo Bills in general are always propped up. They're just expected to be thrown in there. They're just expected to be, they should be mentioned with the best of the best. You can't have a best of the best conversation without Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. And when you look at this, and you look at Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, like, man, they had a better year. They were more successful on the field. The team was better. Their numbers were just as good, if not better in places. So it's like there's a change of the guard with some of this stuff where you can't just pencil in the Bills anymore. You can't just pencil in Patrick Mahomes and blank receiver. It is a bit of a shift in the NFL right now where you do have to kind of think like, man, I got to kind of put my noodle to work here. How good is Chris Olave and Derek Carr going to be? Because Devontae Adams had 1,500 yards last year with Derek Carr. Is Olave better than Devontae Adams? Is he just as good? If he's just as good, can we expect that kind of production out of Chris Olave? You do have to kind of put your thinking cap on. And I think that's where a lot of people are getting upset with these projections, is that they're seeing Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley up on the list, and they may be still thinking, oh, wait a minute. isn't that slot predetermined to be Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs? Isn't that wait a minute? Dak Prescott's on the top 5. Wait a minute. The Cowboys aren't projected to be in the playoffs? I think right now this season is that shift where you're going to see a lot of new faces and a lot of new places. So that may be why a lot of people were disgruntled with this list.
You're right. Buddy, there was a lot of motivational speeches I was giving to myself while I was watching. Like, this is football, though. It is football.
Sure.
We're 21 days away from actual football.
Mm-hmm.
And then as the clock kept ticking, I'm like, God damn, is this the slowest preseason game of all time? And Ross Tucker was doing his thing on a microphone.
He was. Yeah,
so, like, that kind of.
Ross Tucker's great. Ross Tucker's a hell of a guy on calling a game. Preseason is a slog for sure. I don't watch a lot of it. I watch about a half, and that's about it. People that are watching every game, full games, there's a place in heaven for you.
That kind of got me through it all. And then you losing your mind in the group text also helped me as well. So you need to know that. But do you think the way that list went together was Tone thinks that there's a chance he did not see that list until he went live. Producer put that together. He went live. He sees it. Now it's time for him to go. I don't think that's the case. Do you think there was a list presented to him and then he was like, let's go ahead and move them down to 6, and let's move Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley.
He came up with it. It's all Colin.
You think?
What I think happens, I have no way of knowing this. I think in the production meeting, I think they present him with this. They present him with a top 10 list, and then I think he says, "Move this, move that, move that, move that," and then it goes on. Then he goes live. Then I think whenever it's time for that segment, he just riffs on the list. That's exactly how I think it played out. I don't think he spent hours poring over a list, created a list, and that's how it went. I think there's a little bit of that early research and development, R&D. It was, as we say in the business. I think it's done by the producers and the interns and the statisticians and whatnot. And then Colin probably has the final say. So I think Colin probably moves some around, and I'm sure Colin does know, hey, I need to put this person here because that's going to be a bit of a hot take.
He said, no, this is the top 10. That's how you think this happened?
I think so.
I mean, I agree. Like I said, they're good guys. You know, you move
after the Haskins news, after the Haskins thing, I assume that those lists are just put out there.
Yeah. Did he say though? Did he say this is how it's going to end up? Did he like say, hey guys, don't get on me. This is how I'm saying at the end of the season, these will be the top duos.
I don't know what he said today. I think he covered it a little bit on his show. We did not have the sound on. We caught the tail end of it or whatever. I'm saying that just to like say, this is what Colin was thinking, you know, to kind of babyface it a little bit. But that was the best, you know.
It's been some shit. It's been this is the time of the season. Though. It's close. You start just putting some shit out there. You start putting my guy RC. Love RC. Love Ryan Clark. Gives a lot of takes in my opinion. Love the pivot. But that shit he said earlier this week, I think that kind of got the shit going.
What he said?
We're thirsty. When he said George Pickens is much more talented than Justin Jefferson, I mean.
Look, I really don't have a problem with this list. I mean, I really don't think it's that outlandish. Maybe I'm just missing the boat here. The most outlandish part of the list is probably Dak and CeeDee Lamb over A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts.
Well, so you just said that you think that Colin Cowherd saw what Ryan Clark did, and he was like, "Oh yeah, it is that time again.
Yeah, let's do
Hold
this."
my beer.
I completely
we're in that time of year, man, where you know you're putting out lists, and once again, I think this is a good list, but you got to move some things around. You got to say some shit that's gonna have some conversation around it. You know, that's a part of the business. I get it, but I mean, so it's not this Cowherd list. This isn't ridiculous. This is not the worst thing anybody's put out, especially yeah. I'll leave it at that.
Go ahead, Connor.
Well, especially recently, but at 11 he had Jimmy G and Henry Ruggs. He thinks that they're going to have a hell of a year.
All right.
I mean, we're getting controversial. Now we're dropping sponsorships. Now the YouTube algorithm is about to dock me. Unbelievable. If let me say this: if Colin wanted to do the hot take thing, if he wanted to get the people talking, if he wanted to get the people going, he would have left Patrick Mahomes off the list. That's what I would have done. Him finding a way to get Patrick Mahomes on that list, to me, is like that proves it's not a hot take thing.
AJ, what do you got for D-Butt there?
Aside from those,
Where'd you see that? I always saw top 10.
No,
others receiving votes.
Yeah, there's like a top 12, 13. Terry McLaurin was on it, but unfortunately the quarterback he picked with him was also still Dwayne Haskins.
By the way, Sam Howell has been announced as a starter for the Washington Commanders, formerly known as a name.
Yeah.
That is.
That people want back.
Not everybody.
But isn't there the.
Stop it, Connor.
It's not everybody.
I thought the NAGA was make Native Americans great again. Remember we were talking about this?
This is going off the rails. We're in a different place now. Somehow we took a right turn at Calvin Ridley and Trevor Lawrence, and we're talking. My YouTube algorithm will never be the same. Google AdSense might delete me off the page.
I don't think that's what.
That was more of a suggestion. They haven't workshopped it yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, Sam Howell starting for that team. That was once called a word.
Yes.
That there's a petition to get back, but boy, not everybody's thrilled about it.
No.
From what we have been told. Anyways, go ahead, AJ.
Are you surprised anyone that you don't see on that list? Maybe seeing
AJ
who we
Brown
put up
and
there.
Jalen Hurts.
I'm surprised Justin Fields, DJ Moore isn't up there with what they've done the preseason early. Like, what do you?
What the hell are we talking about? What the hell are we talking about? We're talking about Justin Fields and DJ Moore should be on the top of this list. Where would you put Justin Fields and DJ Moore? You're talking about the 17th best quarterback and the 44th best wide receiver? You think they're going to make my top 10 list? Absolutely not.
You think they're going to do, D, but how the Bears going to be?
I mean, I do. I think the Bears take a step. I know a lot of people were expecting them to, win the division.
I certainly hope they're taking a step. They were the first overall pick last year before they traded it. They had the worst record in the NFL. These are the kind of cliche statements that just blow my mind. The Bears are going to take a step. Where? They have to take a step. They're garbage. They were garbage. It would be impossible not to take a step. They were the first overall pick.
The ball down the field, D-Butt. I know that's the problem everyone's saying right now.
They have to. They're going to throw it down the field more. I think Justin Fields is more than capable of throwing the ball down the field. Will he be in the MVP conversation or anything like that? No. I think we're a couple years from that, even with that team around him. I know you have Flus on here, but I mean, they're building.
You know him? You know Flus?
I don't know him. I met him once, maybe twice, but all his players love him. His standard, for defense and how they play defense, and I'm sure that'll go.
I do like Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields is. A lot of people were talking about, C.J. Stroud. They were talking about starting over with Stroud or keeping Justin Fields back whenever the Bears had the first overall pick. And I was adamant in saying that Fields is better than any of these quarterbacks. He's better than Stroud or Richardson or whoever you were thinking about taking in this draft. I think Justin Fields can be good. I don't know if he can be an MVP, but I do think physically he's talented enough to be successful at quarterback in the NFL. Now, has he shown that? No. He did some insane stuff running the ball last year. I mean, at one point he was kind of flirting with being the rushing leader in the NFL. He was, but he also was running for his life. The Bears couldn't protect. The Bears had a lot of other problems. But I mean, he's good. I think Fields can be good for sure. He hasn't proven it. That's why I have him at whatever I said, the 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th rated quarterback. But him and DJ Moore being on this top 10 list would make me sick.
Go throughout the entire team now that he's the head coach. Everyone has spoke highly of that. All the coaches that have coached with him, but I don't know him personally like that. But great coach. I think they'll take the right steps. But I still think that Bears roster and that team's a couple years away. But I definitely think they're going in the right direction. I love Justin Fields. I think that connection will be great. I think Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, they weren't on this list,
They
right?
should be on the list.
I think they should have been on the list.
They should be in the top 4.
Anytime they were one-on-one last season, I mean, Jalen Hurts took full advantage of those situations down the field. And for some reason, even the conversation around Jalen Hurts, I feel like people, some people put him up there and some people don't. Some people say, hey, man, he's propped up by the roster.
This is what I was just talking about. If you hadn't asked 100 whatever of sports media and said Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen, who's better? I would bet a majority are going to say Josh Allen because they're preconditioned to this. Josh Allen is the man. Josh Allen is good. He's a superstar. The Bills are amazing. The Bills are going to win the Super Bowl. I think it's easily Jalen Hurts. I think easily you pick Jalen Hurts. That's that change of the guard I'm talking about. That's this new, Stephon Diggs. I think Calvin Ridley might be better. I think it's okay that we're having this big shift to where these new quarterbacks and new wide receivers and new running backs are coming in and their names should be up there. It's okay that people want to put Jalen Hurts as a top 3, top 4 quarterback. It's all right. It's okay that people are saying that Trevor Lawrence could be a top 3 quarterback. It's okay that people are propping up Tyreek Hill and Tua. That's fine. It's time. It's deserved.
Around them, or the good receivers, great defense, great offensive line. I mean, that's what the front office is supposed to do. They're supposed to build around a young quarterback. But this dude has gotten better, week in, week out. Every year he's gotten better. And on this very show, in the old studio, actually, remember I picked him to go to the Super Bowl last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but was that like a classic UConn Husky bandwagon? I'll say 10 teams.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me know in the comments below what you think. How off was that list? You don't have to make a top 10 wide receiver quarterback duo list if you don't want to. That's a lot of typing. That's a lot of thumb movement in the comments. You don't have to do that if you don't. Certainly, if you want to, by all means. But if you want to just put in there, if you thought the list was nuts, if you thought the list was, it was all right. Wasn't anything crazy. I probably move around some people. I'm sure you'd move around Dak and CeeDee Lamb. People that watch this channel tend to know what's going on in the NFL. So I know none of y'all would have Dak and CeeDee Lamb in the top 10. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching the channel. I appreciate it. I will see you in the next one.